Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling something literally every dev and QA team is wrestling with right now. There's this massive, undeniable tension out there between the ultimate dream of fully autonomous software testing and the gritty, everyday realities that quality assurance teams actually face on the ground. On one side, you have all this soaring AI hype promising to do absolutely everything perfectly straight out of the box. And on the other side, you've got the real world. Complex, legacy codebases, and the rigorous, messy demands of modern software development.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Because, look, this is the exact question on every single software developer and QA engineer's mind today. Is AI actually coming for your job? Is manual testing completely dead? Well, to separate the fact from the fiction, we're digging into a highly detailed, systematic academic review of 56 AI-powered testing tools and combining that with some deep industry insights into how AI is practically being used to solve massive testing headaches today. We're going to see exactly what these tools can do and, maybe more importantly, what they can't.
So, to ground this, let's borrow that classic model for self-driving cars and apply it directly to software testing. We're moving from level 0, which is entirely manual testing with zero automation, up toward that holy grail of level 5, which is fully autonomous, hands-off-the-wheel testing. Now, spoiler alert, we are absolutely not at level 5 just yet. But the tools operating in those middle tiers, they are doing some truly mind-blowing things. Let's look at the first major breakthrough.
Supercharging synthetic test data.
If you've spent even a day in QA, you know that getting your hands on good test data is an absolute headache. The old way of doing things, copying real customer data from production, is just incredibly risky today. We're talking massive GDPR or CCPA violations, devastating privacy leaks, or just being forced to rely on stale, manually scrubbed data that doesn't even help you find bugs. But AI is totally changing the game by generating synthetic data. It's fully anonymous, it completely bypasses data protection rules, it's perfectly realistic, and it is heavily loaded with those exact edge cases you need to stress test your system. So, how do we actually pull this off in the real world? The industry standard basically boils down to 4 highly actionable steps. Step 1, define your edge cases. Think about boundary values, extremely long names, or invalid formats. Step 2, choose your generation approach. You could use a general large language model, or you could go with a specialized QA platform like Tricentis Tosca, which is GDPR compliant right out of the box. Step 3, generate and curate. You pull the data and cherry pick the absolute best, most representative edge case examples. And finally, step 4, validate for realism and privacy. Make sure the distributions make sense and critically verify that literally zero real personal data slipped into the batch. But here's the kicker. The real magic isn't just that AI can, spit out a list of fake names. It's that it actively imagines these bizarre, extreme edge cases that unexpectedly break software in production. We're talking about generating inputs with weird Unicode characters, completely malformed emails, and extreme boundary conditions that would make any developer want to pull their hair out. It forces your software to handle scenarios humans wouldn't even consider, giving you a massive boost in comprehensive test coverage. Moving on to our next major capability, AI-powered test generation. Okay, so the AI can build the data perfectly, but what about writing the actual tests themselves? Honestly, the numbers from the academic review blew my mind. Out of the 56 tools they empirically reviewed, a staggering 43 of them offer AI-powered test generation. That's 77% of the reviewed market. This tells us that using AI to automatically create test cases and test code is no longer some niche experimental feature. It is rapidly becoming the baseline industry standard. Now, what's really interesting is how they're pulling this off. On one hand, you've got this natural language processing approach. This is a total game changer because non-technical users, like business analysts or product managers, can literally type a scenario in plain English, like verify that the login button redirects the user to the dashboard, and the AI just converts it into an executable test script. Then, on the other hand, you have AI-enhanced record and playback. You just click through the application, and the AI doesn't just blindly record your steps. It uses smart weight handling and element recognition to build robust, dynamic scripts automatically. You don't have to write a single line of code.
Up next, self-healing test scripts.
Because let's be real, creating tests is just half the battle. Maintaining them, that is usually where the nightmare begins. Enter self-healing UI test code. This is the ability of an AI tool to automatically detect and fix broken element locators in test scripts without any human intervention at all. Imagine a front-end developer renames a button's ID from submit to submit-btn.
In the old days, your script would instantly fail, and a QA engineer would spend hours tracking down that tiny change just to update the locator. With self-healing, the AI dynamically adapts to that UI change on the fly, finding the button by its visual similarity or HTML hierarchy. The test passes, and you save countless hours of tedious maintenance.
And to ground the hype a bit with some hard empirical data from the study, over half the market, 57% to be exact, which is 32 of those 56 tools, are already leveraging this specific self-healing capability. It's a massive leap forward in testability, and it's quickly becoming a total must-have for enterprise testing environments. But it's time for the AI reality check. Because despite all these flashy features, when researchers actually stress-tested these tools, the results were a sober reminder that AI is definitely not a flawless silver bullet. Let's fire off some realities here. First, sure, AI can heal minor locator changes, but it really struggles with complex structural UI changes. Second, it fundamentally lacks domain context. It doesn't intuitively understand the underlying business logic of your specific app. Third, and this is the dangerous one, it has a tendency to generate false positives and misclassifications. And because of all of this, it still absolutely requires heavy human oversight to review and correct the stuff it generates. And this brings us to a really brilliant point, captured perfectly by Garusi and the research team. Defects within the testing process undermine its value. I mean, think about it. The entire fundamental purpose of quality assurance is to find defects in the software. If your AI testing tool is hallucinating, misclassifying outputs, or spitting out false positives, it's actively introducing defects into the testing process itself. This completely defeats the purpose of QA. You can easily end up spending more time babysitting and debugging the AI than you would have spent just writing the test manually in the first place.
Which leads us to our final section, the human-AI hybrid future. So if level 5 full autonomy is a myth right now, but manual testing is far too slow, where exactly does that leave us? Well, returning to our autonomy model, the crucial point is that level 5 autonomous testing, where there is absolutely zero human intervention, is a distant dream. But level 4, supervised AI automation, that is our current, highly productive reality. At this level, AI is highly capable of doing the heavy lifting, generating data, writing baseline scripts, healing broken tests, but human orchestrators remain absolutely essential to guide the AI, validate its outputs, and provide that nuanced business context the machine is missing.
Ultimately, the big takeaway from all this research boils down to this. Fully autonomous software testing remains a distant goal. Human oversight remains essential. AI isn't here to replace QA testers or developers. It is here to supercharge them. By automating the most tedious and brittle parts of the process, like data generation and locator maintenance, AI actually frees up human engineers to focus on high-level test strategy, complex exploratory edge cases, and the overall user experience. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with something to really chew on. How will you adapt your workflow to become an AI orchestrator rather than just a manual tester? The tools are already here, they're incredibly powerful, and they're evolving every single day. But they absolutely need your human expertise to unlock their true potential. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep experimenting with these tools, and I'll catch you next time.